The smell hits me first, acrid and sharp, the scent of burning dreams. Jessica's gold-plated lighter clicks shut, a period on a sentence I never wanted to read again. Between her perfectly manicured fingers, the last corner of my Harvard acceptance letter curls into a black, fragile ash. It falls to the scuffed linoleum of the cafeteria floor, joining the ghost of my future. Her smile is the same. That same cruel, self-satisfied curve of her lips I remembered from my first life. The one that haunted me through years of dead-end jobs and the crushing weight of what could have been. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic bird trapped in a cage of bone. It wants me to scream, to lunge, to claw that smirk off her face just like I did the first time. The memory is a phantom limb, aching with the remembered sting of her nails on my cheek, the cold shock of suspension, the finality of a future erased. But this time, I don't move. My hands, resting on the sticky lunch table, are perfectly still. I just breathe in, out. I glance at the big, round clock on the cafeteria wall, the one with the faded school logo in the center. 11:47 a.m. 13 minutes. 13 minutes until Mrs. Davison, the college counselor, locks her office and leaves for the 2-week winter break. 13 minutes until the official school-stamped copy of my acceptance has to be on her desk for final processing. 13 minutes to save my life. Again. "You always were too good for this dump, Maya," Jessica purrs, the smoke of my incinerated dreams still clinging to her designer jacket. She thinks this is over. She thinks she's won, just like last time. Her victory is a foregone conclusion in her mind, a simple transaction of fire and cruelty. I don't answer. My eyes are on her, but my focus is elsewhere. My thumb slides across the cool glass screen of my phone, resting on the icon I'd placed on my home screen just this morning. "It's a shame, really," she continues, mistaking my silence for shock. "All that hard work. The all-nighters, the tutoring sessions, sucking up to all the right teachers, wasted." She turns to walk away, expecting me to crumble, to let out the sob that I can feel building in my chest, a hot, painful pressure behind my sternum. But the sob doesn't come. Instead, a different kind of smile finds my lips. It's small and it's not pleasant, because this time I'm not the same naive 18-year-old she broke. This time, I'm a 30-year-old woman trapped in a teenager's body with a decade of regrets fueling a fire that burns hotter than her cheap lighter ever could. This time, when Jessica lit that letter, she didn't just light a piece of paper, she lit a fuse. And this time, I have 5 backup copies hidden in places she'll never, ever find. My thumb presses the screen. The video recording starts, the little red dot in the corner a promise. I clear my throat, my voice steady, cutting through the cafeteria din. "Funny thing about fires, Jess," I say. She stops, her back still to me. She turns slowly, an eyebrow arched in annoyance. "What?" I pull my hand from under the table, revealing the crisp, cream-colored envelope in my hand. Backup copy number 1, taken from my blazer's inner pocket. I slide the identical letter out, the crimson Harvard crest gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Her face, a mask of smug satisfaction just a moment ago, cracks. The color drains from her cheeks, leaving behind a splotchy, uneven canvas of disbelief. "What the hell is that?" she whispers, her voice losing its silky edge. I hold the letter up, angling my phone just so, making sure the camera captures the pure, unadulterated shock on her face. This is my future, the one you can't burn." Her eyes dart from the letter to my phone, the tiny red light finally registering. A flicker of panic, of animal fear, crosses her features before she snuffs it out, replacing it with her usual bravado. "You think that little recording means anything? It's your word against mine. And we both know whose word carries more weight in this town." "Oh, I know," I agree, my voice dangerously sweet. "But it's not just my word, is it?" "What the hell are you talking about?" I nod towards her hands, the ones that held the lighter just moments ago. "Check your fingers." A line of confusion furrows her brow. She glances down at her perfectly polished nails, then back at me. "There's nothing there." "Isn't there?" I lean forward. "You used half a can of lighter fluid to get that thick cardstock to burn so quickly. It's all over your hands. Odorless, sure. But it leaves a residue. I gesture with my chin toward the corner of the cafeteria, where a blue light hums almost invisibly. And that bug zapper? It's not just for flies. It emits a low-level UV light, strong enough to make certain chemicals, like, say, the specific accelerant in your lighter fluid, glow a faint, telltale blue. Her head snaps toward the zapper, then back to her hands. In her mind, she's seeing it, the damning, ghostly blue glow that would show up under any real UV lamp. Forensic proof. Evidence. A concept so far removed from her world of getting away with everything that it takes a full 10 seconds for the implication to land. In my first life, I'd learned about this from a true crime documentary I watched while eating instant noodles in my cramped apartment. A bitter, useless piece of trivia. In this life, it's a weapon. You're insane, she sputters, but the accusation is weak, brittle. She's starting to understand that the rules of the game have changed. I'm no longer playing checkers, I'm playing chess, and I'm 5 moves ahead. Right on cue, the school's PA system crackles to life, a burst of static followed by Principal Henderson's familiar, weary voice. Attention students, apologies for the interruption. All seniors are to report to the guidance office immediately for final transcript verification. I repeat, all seniors to the guidance office now. The universe, it seems, is on my side this time. A perfect, unprovoked summons. I stand up, tucking my phone and the pristine letter back into my pocket. I give Jessica a look that's almost pitying. 13 minutes, Jess. The clock's ticking. I leave her there, standing amidst the ghosts of her crime, her mind racing to catch up. She's used to fighting battles she's already won. She has no idea how to fight a war when she's already lost. The guidance office smells of old paper and stale coffee, a scent I associate with anxiety and forced smiles. The fluorescent lights hum with a sterile brightness that makes everything feel cold and clinical. It's a place of judgment, of futures being weighed and measured on outdated scales. Students are clustered around Mrs. Davison's desk, a nervous herd waiting for their final stamp of approval before being released into the wild. And I see David by the window, clutching his own packet of papers. He catches my eye and gives me a small, questioning nod. I give him a look back. One I hope conveys it started. Stick to the plan. His jaw tightens, but he nods again, more firmly this time, and turns his attention back to the line. He was my only friend who believed me the first time, the only one who visited me after I was suspended, his own Yale scholarship hanging in the balance because he'd dared to associate with me. This time, his loyalty won't cost him a thing. I make my way to the filing cabinets at the far end of the room, pretending to look for a form. It's the only semi-private corner in the bustling office. A moment later, just as I knew she would, Jessica is there. She corners me, her body blocking me in. Her scent of expensive perfume and desperation thicken the air. "What do you think you're doing?" she hisses, her voice low and venomous. "Just getting my future in order," I reply calmly, not looking at her. "You should try it sometime." "You think you're so clever, don't you?" She's close now, her breath hot on my neck. "That little stunt in the cafeteria was cute." "Really? But this is the real world, Maya, and in the real world, little girls with cameras and backup letters don't beat girls whose fathers are state senators." She pulls out her phone, a triumphant gleam in her eyes. The screen is still on, showing her call log. "Daddy," it reads, with a call duration of 2 minutes and 34 seconds. I watch as her confidence, which had been so thoroughly shattered in the cafeteria, reassembles itself piece by piece. She's on familiar ground again, back in the world where a phone call can erase any problem. "Daddy says the Harvard admissions committee owes him a favor," she says, the smirk returning to her face. It's a little shaky, but it's there. "He's making a call right now. Your little scholarship? Considered a clerical error that's being corrected. Maybe you can get into a community college. If you're lucky." The cold dread that I thought I'd banished threatens to return. This was the part I was worried about. The raw, brute force of her father's influence. It's an obstacle that evidence and cleverness can't always overcome. But I take a breath and remember the hours I spent in my first life, scrolling through forums, reading about admissions processes, nursing a cold obsession with the system that had failed me. "That's a shame," I say, finally turning to face her. I look her directly in the eye. Because while your dad was trying to call in a favor, I already sent the admissions committee something much better. Her smirk falters. Like what? Your little home movie from the cafeteria? They won't even look at it. No, I say, letting the word hang in the cold air between us. Not that. I sent them your confession. The color drains from her face again. I didn't confess to anything. Not on my recording, no, on yours. I tap my temple. See, the thing I have that you don't is a memory of how this all played out before. I remember every mistake I made, and I remember every mistake you made too. I lean in closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. Like bragging to your friend Amy over FaceTime about how you were going to handle me, about how you had it all planned. You were so sloppy, Jess. You thought you'd deleted the call history, but you forgot about the cloud backup. The one I knew the password to because you've been using your dog's name and your birth year for everything since middle school. Her jaw goes slack. Her eyes are wide with a new kind of terror. This isn't just about her being caught. This is about me knowing things I shouldn't know. It's an impossible supernatural advantage that she has no defense against. But that's not even the best part, I continue, pressing my advantage. The best part is the other thing I sent them, the real reason you need my scholarship spot so desperately. The air conditioning hums, a steady, cold drone that seems to amplify the sudden, dead silence between us. Her sharp intake of breath is the only other sound. You don't know anything, she breathes. Don't I? I raise an eyebrow. Those 400 community service hours you supposedly did at the downtown women's shelter? The ones that clinched your Humanitarian of the Year award and looked so good on your application? I let the question dangle. Funny thing, I called them. In this timeline, I mean. They've never heard of you. They checked their records for the last 3 years. No Jessica Morrison, no volunteer hours, just a very generous, very timely donation from one Senator Morrison about 6 weeks ago. Her face is a mask of pure, unadulterated horror. She's a cornered animal, all her escape routes sealed off. She had built her entire persona, her entire application, on a mountain of lies, and I was standing there with a stick of dynamite ready to light the fuse. So, you see, I conclude, my voice as cold and sterile as the room around us, your father can call in all the favors he wants, but the Harvard Ethics Committee might be a little more interested in my email than his phone call, the one with the subject line, admissions fraud, perjury, and bribery. The one I sent an hour ago. She just stares at me, her mouth opening and closing silently like a fish gasping for air. The smug, untouchable queen of Northgate High was gone. In her place was just a scared girl who had finally, after a lifetime of cheating, been caught. The line from Mrs. Davison's desk moves forward. My name is next. I turn my back on Jessica and walk toward my future, leaving her trapped in the wreckage of hers. But as I take a step, she finds her voice again. It's not a hiss this time. It's something worse. It's low, guttural, and filled with a chilling, triumphant poison. You think you've won, she says, almost laughing. You have no idea. I stop, my hand on the back of the chair in front of Mrs. Davison's desk. A cold knot forms in my stomach. This is new. This wasn't part of the script from my last life. The forgery, the bullying, the bribery. That was all Jessica's standard playbook. This tone, this new confidence born from the depths of her defeat. This is something else entirely. This is her trump card. My father's connections aren't just for getting me into Harvard, you idiot, she sneers, stepping up beside me. She's no longer trying to be discreet. A few students in line turn to look. They're for destroying people who get in my way. My blood runs cold. I see it then. A memory I had buried. A detail that seemed insignificant in the grand scheme of my own ruin. A news article from years later in my first timeline. A beloved teacher, disgraced. A career, and a life, incinerated by a baseless accusation that came out of nowhere. It wasn't nowhere. It was from here. It was from her. You're going to regret this, Maya, she whispers, her eyes glittering with malice. You think your recommendation from Mr. Chen means so much? Let's see how much it's worth after I file a formal sexual harassment complaint against him. Ah, he said, she said situation, except it's not. It's my word, a senator's daughter, against a nobody teacher. Who do you think they'll believe? The air leaves my lungs. I see myself at 30, sitting in that dim, lonely apartment, the glow of the TV screen illuminating the dust motes in the air. I see the headline, Local Teacher Loses License Amidst Scandal. I see Mr. Chen's face, haggard and broken, as he's hounded by reporters. He was the one teacher who saw something in me, who pushed me, who told me I was more than just another face in the crowd. And in my first life, in my selfish grief, I hadn't connected the dots. I hadn't realized that my downfall had created a shockwave and he was one of its victims. Jessica hadn't just destroyed my future, she'd destroyed his too, as a petty act of revenge. I had been too slow, too broken to stop her. The knot in my stomach tightens. The weight of that potential failure, that repeated history, is heavier than my own lost decade. It's the one thing I hadn't prepared for, the one variable I'd forgotten. Jessica sees the flicker of genuine fear in my eyes and mistakes it for surrender. Her smile widens into a vicious grin. "Checkmate," she mouths. But then, I breathe. I force the air back into my lungs. The 30-year-old me pushes the panicked teenager aside. I had forgotten, yes, but the universe had given me a second chance for a reason. And I hadn't spent the last 3 months just planning to reclaim my own life. I'd spent it building a fortress. "That's a good plan, Jess," I say, my voice steady again, the fear replaced by a cold, hard anger. "A really, really good plan. Vicious, underhanded, exactly your style." I look her straight in the eye. It would have worked too. It would have destroyed him. Her grin wavers. She doesn't understand why I'm not breaking. "There's just one problem," I continue. "In this timeline, I remembered what a snake you are." I pull out my phone again, but this time I don't turn on the camera. I go to my audio files. "See, after you tried to get a freshman suspended last month for cheating off your paper, I had a little chat with Mr. Chen. I told him he needed to protect himself, that certain students in this school would do anything to get what they want, or to punish people who don't give them what they want." I press play. My own voice, tinny and recorded, fills the small space between us. "Just be careful, Mr. Chen. Record everything, every meeting, every one-on-one conversation with a student. Just a voice memo on your phone is enough. Create a record, a timeline, insurance." Then, Mr. Chen's voice, kind and concerned. "Maya, this seems a bit extreme. Are you all right?" Then mine again. "I'm fine, but trust me, please." I press stop. Jessica's face is white, utterly, completely white. She looks like she's seen a ghost. In a way, she has. The ghost of a plan she thought was foolproof. "For the past 2 months," I say, my voice low and final, "Mr. Chen has recorded every single interaction he's had with a student in his classroom, including the 3 times you stayed after class trying to flirt with him to get him to raise your B+ to an A, including the time you accidentally brushed up against him in the hallway, including the conversation you had with him yesterday where you told him he was your favorite teacher and you'd do anything for a better letter of recommendation." I lean in, savoring this moment. This was for Mr. Chen. This was for the life she'd ruined without a second thought. "Your harassment claim isn't a he said, she said anymore, Jessica. It's a you said, you did situation. And I have the receipts, all of them. So go ahead, make your move, file your complaint, please, I dare you." The bravado, the poison, the confidence, it all evaporates, leaving nothing behind but a hollow shell. She looks at me, and for the first time, I think she truly understands. She's not just being outplayed. She's been checkmated from the very first move, in a game she didn't even know she was playing. I don't wait for a response. I turn my back on her for the final time and walk past the now empty chair in front of Mrs. Davison's desk, heading straight for the main office door. The transcript can wait. It's time to end this. I don't hesitate. I march straight down the hallway, the sound of my own footsteps echoing with a purpose I haven't felt in a decade. The door to Principal Henderson's office is, as always, slightly ajar. He likes to give the impression of being accessible, of having an open door policy when in reality it's just a way for him to listen in on the office gossip. I push the door open without knocking. He looks up from his computer, his glasses perched on the end of his nose, an expression of mild annoyance on his face. Miss Chen, is there something I can help you with? As you know, it's a very busy day. It's Maya, I say, and yes, you can help me by listening. I walk to his large, imposing mahogany desk and slam a small black USB drive down on the polished surface. It makes a sharp, definitive sound in the quiet room. He eyes the USB drive, then me, his annoyance hardening into disapproval. Miss Chen, this is highly irregular. So is covering up admissions fraud for your star student in exchange for a hefty donation to the athletics fund. I cut in, my voice sharp and clear. Henderson freezes. He slowly takes off his glasses, a gesture I've seen him use 100 times to buy himself a moment to think. His face, usually a carefully controlled mask of bored authority, is suddenly alert. He's a predator who's just realized he might be the prey. I have no idea what you're talking about, he says, his voice dangerously quiet. And I'd be very careful about making such baseless accusations. Are they baseless? I lean forward, planting my hands on his desk. I'm close enough to see the tiny beads of sweat forming on his upper lip. This USB drive contains a recording of Jessica Morrison admitting, in her own words, to forging 400 hours of community service. It also contains the cloud-retrieved logs of her bragging about it, enough to get her acceptance revoked on its own. He licks his lips, his eyes flicking to the door. This is a matter between you and another student. It has nothing to do with me. It does when you're an accessory, I fire back. Because this isn't just about the community service, is it? It's about the scholarship, the one she tried to steal from me. I pause, letting the weight of my next words land. And not just me. His eyes narrow. What? I spent some time in the guidance office, Principal Henderson, looking at the finalist list for the top-tier scholarships. A lot of kids from this school did really well this year, but 2 others, besides me, had their early action acceptances and scholarship offers suddenly put under review in the last 48 hours. David Tran for the Yale Engineering Scholarship, and Sarah Mendez for the Duke Pre-Med program. What do we all have in common? We're all minority students. And we all, coincidentally, were standing in the way of Jessica Morrison and her friends getting those same spots. I pull out my phone and slide it across the desk next to the USB drive. It's open to an email chain. These are deleted emails retrieved from the school server's trash folder. Funny how people think deleting things makes them go away. This is you, Principal Henderson, communicating with Senator Morrison. 3 months of planning. Targeting students you thought wouldn't fight back. Exchanging bank information. Discussing how to handle the paperwork. I tap the screen, highlighting a specific timestamp. Senator Morrison's check for $50,000 cleared into the athletics fund's account yesterday morning, didn't it? The blood drains from his face. He looks from my phone to the USB drive, then back to me. He looks like a man watching his entire life crumble to dust in front of him. He's been running this school like his own personal kingdom for 12 years, a kingdom built on pay-to-play schemes and quiet corruption, and a high school senior just blew it all up. You can't prove any of this, he whispers, a last desperate bluff. I smile. It's a cold, hard thing. I don't have to. You're going to do it for me. I point to the clock on his wall. It reads 1:52 p.m. In exactly 8 minutes, I say, the emergency school board meeting I anonymously called for this morning begins. The summons went out an hour ago. The topic? An urgent review of unethical scholarship allocation and potential administrative misconduct at Northgate High. I wonder who they'll want to talk to first. His jaw drops. He looks utterly, completely defeated. The king is dead. He just doesn't know how to fall off his throne yet. You have a choice, Principal Henderson, I say, my voice softening just a fraction, a calculated move. You can go into that meeting and get crucified. Or you can take this USB drive, walk into that auditorium and present it as your own internal investigation. Expose Jessica. Expose the senator. Paint yourself as the hero who uncovered this whole dirty scheme. Maybe you save your pension. Maybe you even save your job. It's your only move. I push the USB drive closer to him. He stares at it as if it's a venomous snake. The choice is an illusion, and we both know it. He's trapped. But giving him the illusion of control is the surest way to make him do exactly what I want. He finally looks up at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of hatred and grudging respect. "Who are you?" he breathes. "I'm just a student you underestimated," I say. I turn and walk out of his office, leaving the door wide open behind me. The fate of his kingdom is now in his sweaty, trembling hands. The auditorium is packed. Word of an emergency school board meeting called on the last day before break has spread like wildfire. Teachers, parents, students, they're all here, buzzing with confusion and anticipation. I take a seat in the third row, David right beside me. He passes me a small bottle of water. My hands are shaking slightly, and I'm grateful for the solid, cool plastic. On the stage, the 5 members of the school board sit at a long table, looking grim and confused. In the center is Miss Williams, a no-nonsense lawyer whose kids graduated years ago, but who stays on the board out of a fierce sense of civic duty. She's the one I'd counted on. At precisely 2 p.m., the side door of the stage opens. Principal Henderson walks out, looking pale but composed. He's holding the USB drive. My plan is in motion. He walks to the podium, adjusts the microphone, and clears his throat. The room falls silent. He begins his speech, painting a picture of a shocking discovery, of his own diligence in uncovering a terrible plot. It's a masterful performance. He presents himself as a protector of the school's integrity, a whistleblower against the corrupting influence of power and money. He's taking the escape route I gave him. Then he gestures to the front row, where Jessica and Senator Morrison are sitting. They'd clearly been summoned by Henderson, expecting this to be a meeting where he would shut me down. The look of dawning horror on the senator's face as he realizes what's happening is cinematic. Jessica just looks numb. "And now," Henderson says, his voice filled with fake solemnity, "I must present the evidence of this fraud." David connects my laptop to the auditorium's projector. The first file is the audio from my confrontation with Jessica in the guidance office. My voice is clear. "The real reason you need my scholarship spot so desperately." Then her gasp. The implication hangs in the air. "That's taken out of context," Jessica shrieks from her seat, jumping to her feet. Her father tries to pull her back down, but she's frantic. "Which part?" I call out from my seat, my voice ringing through the silent auditorium. "The part where you admit you faked 400 volunteer hours, or the part where you threatened to destroy Mr. Chen with a fake sexual harassment claim?" "I never said that," she screams, her composure completely gone. "Play recording 2, David," I say calmly. David clicks the mouse, my voice again. "That's a good plan, Jess. Vicious, underhanded." Then Jessica's sneering reply, recorded by Mr. Chen's phone from across the classroom. "Let's see how much his recommendation is worth after I file a formal sexual harassment complaint against him. Who do you think they'll believe?" A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. Teachers are looking at her with disgust. Parents are whispering furiously. Mr. Chen, sitting near the back, just closes his eyes, vindicated. "You little bitch!" Jessica finally snaps, pointing a shaking finger at me. "I'll ruin you. I'll ruin you both." "Already did that to yourself, Jess," I whisper to no one. On stage, Miss Williams holds up the USB drive Henderson had given her. "The evidence on this device is overwhelming," she says, her voice like steel. "Deleted emails between the senator and the principal outlining a scheme to displace multiple scholarship candidates. Bank records confirming a $50,000 payment. Forged documents. This is one of the most disgusting abuses of power I have ever seen." The senator is on his feet now, sputtering about lawyers and slander, but no one is listening. Miss Williams pulls out her own phone. "I've taken the liberty of contacting the admissions office at Harvard University and patching them through our sound system. Mr. Abernathy, are you there?" A crisp, clear voice fills the auditorium. "I am, Miss Williams. We've been reviewing the email and documents Miss Chen sent us this morning. This is highly disturbing." "Indeed," Miss Williams says. "Given this information, what is the status of Maya Chen's scholarship and acceptance?" "Her early action acceptance and the attached full academic scholarship are secure," Mr. Abernathy states. his voice leaving no room for doubt. We are proud to have a student of her integrity and courage joining the Harvard class of 2026. A wave of applause breaks out. David claps me on the shoulder, a huge grin on his face. I feel a tear slide down my cheek, but for the first time in a decade, it's a tear of relief, not sorrow. And what, Miss Williams continues, her voice dropping, is the status of Jessica Morrison's acceptance? There's a pause. Then, the voice of Mr. Abernathy delivers the final brutal blow. As of 5 minutes ago, Miss Morrison's conditional acceptance to Harvard University has been formally and permanently revoked. The sound Jessica makes is not quite a scream, not quite a sob. It's the sound of a hollow thing breaking. It's the sound of karma, delivered in real time, over a loudspeaker, in front of everyone she ever thought she was better than. The world she'd built on lies and privilege has just come crashing down, and this time, there's no one left to catch her. As two campus security officers begin to walk toward the front row, I see Jessica's wild, hate-filled eyes find mine across the crowded room. I meet her gaze without flinching. Funny how karma works when you actually fight back, I whisper, knowing she can't hear me, but saying it for myself. She's not a monster anymore. She's not a ghost that haunts my future. She's just a girl whose cruelty finally caught up to her. As they escort her and her father from the auditorium, a path clearing before them as people shrink away in disgust, I take a deep, clean breath. The air doesn't smell like burning paper anymore. It smells like freedom. 6 months later, I'm sitting in the grand, hallowed reading room of Harvard's Widener Library, a ridiculously heavy constitutional law textbook open in front of me. The air smells of old leather, polished wood, and boundless possibility. It's a scent I'm still getting used to. I get a notification on my phone. It's a news alert from back home. Senator Morrison's corruption trial begins tomorrow. Former Principal Henderson to testify for prosecution. I smile. Principal Henderson had played his part perfectly, turning state's evidence and detailing 12 years of pay-to-play schemes at Northgate High. His testimony had been the nail in the senator's political coffin. Henderson himself got off with a forced retirement and a stripped pension, a quiet, ignominious end to his reign. Another notification pops up. It's a message from David on our group chat. It's a screenshot of a social media post from one of Jessica's old friends. It's a complaint about how Jessica's application to the local community college had just been rejected. Reason: falsified high school transcripts. Some mistakes, it turns out, follow you. I can't even find it in me to feel pleasure at her demise anymore, just a quiet sense of cosmic balance being restored. The final message in the chat is from Sarah Mendez, now thriving in Duke's pre-med program. It's a picture of a beaming Mr. Chen holding a glass plaque. He'd just been awarded the district's Teacher of the Year award, his reputation not just restored but enhanced. The citation specifically mentioned his integrity and courage in the face of institutional pressure. I close my eyes for a moment, letting the quiet hum of the library settle around me. The last life feels like a bad dream now, a story I read about someone else. The regret that had been my constant companion for a decade is gone, replaced by a quiet, solid certainty. I had been given a second chance, a miracle I still couldn't explain. But the miracle wasn't just about getting back what I had lost. It was about having the chance to fight, to prepare, to stand up not just for myself, but for the others who had been trampled underfoot. The first time, I was a victim of circumstance. This time, I was the architect of my own justice. I opened my textbook, the dense words on the page no longer intimidating, but inviting. I have a lot to learn, a whole life to build. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud and fiery. Sometimes it's the quiet, meticulous work of preparation. Sometimes the best revenge is just being ready.